Drew, what's up?
A lot's been up. We've been really pushing the podcast. We've been to a couple events now, pushing the podcast. And so it's basically just a podcast at the moment. What's going on with you?
Well, obviously we've been working on this, but we've had some changes to the podcast, obviously. A little pivot. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Kind of the pivot, the direction, the vision,
Yep.
where everything's going?
Yeah. So our whole premise when starting this podcast, for anyone who doesn't know, anyone who didn't see the first 5 episodes, we're basically trying to lead people into the AI revolution as we go into it ourselves. And so we're bringing on guests who are using it personally and in their business to teach us along the way. We're also coming to you guys with news and updates and events to talk about AI and what's going on in the AI world. And then also we have Q&A. So anytime you guys leave a comment on the show on YouTube or on Spotify, we'll read those and we'll go over those so that we can sort of make it a lot more poignant towards what people actually care about and less about like what just us ranting and raving. So we've kind of gone that way, and basically we are the pioneers of AI, and we are
There
the
you
number
go.
one, we are a podcast on Spotify.
Exactly. Exactly. And the other thing with that, Lewis and Clark. So we're really playing on this, pioneer theme. I think kind of having that foundation. So we went ahead and bought the domain lewisandclark.ai, which I think is pretty epic.
Fire.
And almost it's like, let's build something around that. Just because that domain is so epic. We're taking you guys with us on this AI journey that changes every single day. Different models come out. And it's really adapting and evolving. And Drew, you told me something about content, like a content rule the other day, and I really love that. What was that rule?
Yeah, so the rule for us going forward now is written in stone at this point, but it's basically if you're a student, talk about what you're learning. And if you're an expert, talk about what you know in your own words. So for us with this podcast, we are students currently. At some point, we will be experts. I don't know when or how we will know that, but
I don't know. I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, I kind of feel like I'm teetering on AI experts a little bit. I just absolutely my obsession. Have you been playing a lot with it lately, Drew? And what are some things that you've learned recently?
so I'll be honest, I watched your course. Obviously, I was editing it, so I watched it. And I've been playing, the last couple of days or whatever, I've been playing with Claude Code as more of my UI, right? So like making sure that everything looks good using, like you said in the course, which everyone can go check out the course. It's on YouTube. It's already up
Great.
there, ready to go. So basically how to create your own app using AI, vibe coding. And basically I use that for the UI aspect of things. And I think we're gonna be making some apps here, obviously, and so I think it's really good for anyone who's like learning to vibe code and stuff like that. First, go through the course. Second, create your own app, and then third, like you said in the course, like monetize it. Go on WAP and put it on the App Store and see what happens. And honestly, like we are in a situation right now where we can learn so quickly about whether or not our product is good or not. And one thing we're creating here is a distribution channel. So we can figure out really quickly whether or not, obviously when we have a big enough audience where we can figure out pretty quickly whether or not our product is good or not. And then we can go to market way quicker than any other time in history.
And that's really, kind of what's cool about vibe coding. And for those who don't know what vibe coding is, it's basically talking in English to various LLMs or a chain, or kind of process of different LLMs. And it basically like you're talking to an extremely fast software engineer who you don't have to talk to like a software engineer. Cause I don't know if y'all have dealt with a software engineer before. They're not like the easiest people to talk
Yeah.
to. You start, especially if you're dropping the vision on them, right? The 30,000 foot, that's hard to breathe and to really implement. So I'm so excited about this vibe coding. What can we call it? Shift the widening adoption of it
It's an
because it allows
opportunity. It's an opportunity is what it
huge
is.
opportunity.
Yeah.
And because it allows quick iteration, right? Money loves speed. And if you're going back and forth with software engineer, add this feature, take this feature away, especially as entrepreneurs, you kind of get very into, you get feature heavy. You want to make it perfect before you ship an MVP. And it really kind of bogs it down. And not only does it become extremely expensive to make, but now, you're 6, 9, 12 months in and the market's changed. Technology's changed. perhaps your audience has changed. So right now, it's such an exciting time, but I think the time honestly is limited to get in on the front end of it because it's the internet rush. I mean, so many people got rich during the internet. I mean, this is AI revolution.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're positioning ourselves. We call ourselves the commentators of the gold rush, and we've eliminated the gold rush from our vocabulary now because we are Lewis and Clark, which is not the gold rush. But
Honestly, that's where I'm gonna push you a little bit, Drew. I think it's all the same damn thing at the end of the day, right? Historically, perhaps inaccurate, but I mean, you can call Drew Sacagawea. He's translating AI to English for you. So
yeah,
yeah,
true.
but to your point, the gold rush, and really, I think especially in what did they say? Selling the tools to the
Yeah.
people rushing for gold, and that's where I think the opportunities are within this, these various AI verticals and stuff. But Drew, you said you were kind of messing around with vibe coding and stuff. Tell me about that process. Did you build anything? What
So
was that?
yeah. So I haven't built anything yet. I was just going what you said with the Google AI Studio, using Nano Banana, making making what I thought was going to be like what I think is a good app when it comes to UI and UX. And so I put that into Claude, went through some code, and basically I was like, okay, I don't have the time right now to do this, but I definitely want to come back. And it was all like going in accordance with what you had on your course. And so I was just basically going through it, just making sure that I understood exactly what you were saying. And so I think courses have been out since Harvard started. So the idea here is like just go through the course and go along with it. And I think that we're in a crazy place right now where you can learn how to do something that has taken people like a decade to learn. You can learn it in 20 minutes going through Chad's course on YouTube. And I don't think we fully understand, because I don't fully understand, or I guess not grateful enough to the AI gods that like, hey, or even just, whatever. I'm not in it. I'm not grateful enough that it's like, guys, someone had to go to school and code, and like reading these books about like PayPal and stuff like that. They were like coding for
And
days and days
actually
and days and
writing
days. Yeah.
lines of code. I've never written a line of code in my life, but I've built some pretty cool suite of various tools that I started using in my regular work, regular job, just kind of for fun, and then realized that piecing all these different things together, it makes sense in the sense that the AI can figure out what you don't understand. So I was kind of always good at like understanding the broad strokes of this connects to this, but the intricacies of it, I never really got super granular with, and really even had the desire to. For example, learning how to code. It's just, I'm too ADD for that. I'm too big picture, but I know it's such a powerful skill. And now that I can have something essentially for all intents and purposes for free, I
Yeah.
pay a little bit of money just to kind of get things done faster and at larger scale. But if you're getting started, you can do a lot for free, especially with Google AI Studio. And this course that Drew's talking about, basically it's a free course on YouTube, and really all it is me doing a screen record of the little janky process that I kind of put together after a lot of iteration. And I think, in my opinion, it's the easiest workflow to get something from your head as an idea to the internet. But yeah, so and basically kind of how that works. Obviously, you have to go and watch a course, Google AI Studio to what's the next step, Drew? Google AI Studio to GitHub, and then
Yeah.
GitHub to Claude Code. You turn it into Next.js. What is Next.js? I have no idea. But then you go from Next.js, or excuse me, Claude Code to Vercel, and then you deploy it to Vercel. And all those tools are free. Every single one, which is, I mean, just so crazy.
Yeah.
But Drew, have you been on Twitter and seen the anger of these software engineers?
Yeah, and to be honest, it's not just software engineers. A lot of like in my world, a lot of marketing copywriters and like
Mm,
writing professionals are like they're up in arms about it. And I've talked about this on the podcast before. I think that it's like it's going back to horse-drawn carriage owners. It's like, no, like cars are never going to be a thing. Like they're too clunky, they don't work and all this stuff. It's like it's a tale as old as time that like the people who are like pushing back so hard are the people who are basically going to be replaced. And it's like we could either use these things, and I'm big on using AI to improve what you're already doing, or leverage what you're already doing. It's not to replace you. It's not to replace anyone else. It's to simply make you like 10 times stronger. It's literally like Iron Man. It's like, cool, you can fight, but Iron Man can fight like 100, even 1,000 times better than you. So, going back to what you said, like these developers are so upset, and it's like, I mean, yeah, it's not better than you right now, but it's faster than you already.
Yeah.
It can find lines of broken code. It's like a
There's
hundred
no
a hundred
fatigue
times
with it.
quicker.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And to actually go and hire a person, I mean,
right.
engineers, that's what, a buck 50 to, $1 million a year, or if you're, one of the new AI guys at Meta, what is it, $1 billion signing
Yeah,
bonus? Crazy. And it's also, to flip Drew's point a little bit, again, being on the pioneer side, it's kind of like a, what's the word, like ragtag? Is that rat pack?
yeah,
What's the, and it feels scrappy,
right.
it truly does feel like the Wild West, because people are just kind of coming up with stuff, and maybe learning nuances, learning little tricks, and just sharing it with the community. That's kind of one thing about the software community at large that I've always appreciated about it, is people help each other, for
Hmm.
for the most part. For God's sakes, there's GitHub, which is a big open source, it's like free code. I don't want to give away any free code, maybe. But the fact is, it's there. So you can use it, especially, and this is where your edge, your difference in whatever you are doing professionally right now. Figure out how to layer on AI. It doesn't have to be complicated. Drew doing it with marketing, and me doing it kind of with what I'm doing. It's so and that's where, because anyone can have, an idea, but then does it actually solve anything? And is it going to be adopted? For example, I don't think a 18-year-old kid who's just starting to learn vibe coding is going to be able to understand how to implement AI into a private equity firm looking to do LBOs, whatever, right? Insert something kind of niche here. And I think it really comes back to, that's where the riches really are going to be, in the niches.
I don't like. So a couple things I want to talk about here, though. I want to talk about use cases. So where do you see like people being able to use the vibe coding specifically? Like, let's say someone does your course, and they're like, "Hey, I have this great idea. What is a use case for your vibe coding?"
I think, kind of with the vibe coding, it starts small, right? Like the example that I did was actually kind of something fun. At Thanksgiving, my family, we had it was a game called Quip It, I think. And it was just kind of a fun game. So, it went up on the TV, everyone had their phone, and it was kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but you're anonymous, and then you type in an answer. And, of course, it can get rowdy, because then
Yeah,
everyone votes on the answer. So, it's fun. But I think something as little as that, something that you'll actually use. For example, I made my wife a Sudoku app the other day, because she would, she didn't want to pay for the app in the app store, and so she had the, banner ads all over it. And she also wanted to be, I don't play Sudoku, I don't know how it works, but she wanted to be able to take notes, along the way, and not just Sudoku, but killer Sudoku, and pumped it out just like that. So I think, kind of the use cases, learn how to do it on the micro, the smaller scales, the things that, of course they matter, but you're not taking this big pie in the sky. Let's have this huge complex solution and try to jam it into this, kind of regimented, if you will, pipeline. Instead, learn it, kind of understand how to use it by, like I said, just making something that you think you'll actually make that's kind of fun, because it's so crazy, Drew, to be able to have an idea in your head. And you don't even need an idea on AI Studio. You could press the I'm feeling lucky button, and it'll generate it. Don't like that idea? Hit it again, hit it again, hit it again, hit it again, hit it again. I mean, so you don't have to be creative, right? And start there. I mean, start hitting some ideas. And then if you think it does have traction and legs, you could scale accordingly. But I think it's something that everyone, it's going to be more and more widely adopted.
yeah. No, I think you're spot on. I think start small always, and I think honestly, even going a little bit deeper than that, start with one problem. Like fix one problem with an app. Like for
Exactly.
like
Like ads on Killer Sudoku.
Yeah, or like it's like, let's say for this podcast, it's like, hey, we are gonna hire someone to do our content stuff. It's like, well, actually, let's make an app that has our entire workflow in it, and let's see if we can pump it out with an app, right? So it's like posting more content. That's the problem. Okay, let's create an app that solves this problem, right? So I think starting with, you said perfectly, start simple. And then also like, if you don't have an idea, like what's a problem in your life right now? Well, I hate that I have like 15 calendars. Okay, let's go and let's make a calendar app, use Claude Code to hook everything up. So my Google Calendar, my Outlook calendar, all that stuff is in one. And now I have a calendar app for myself, right? And then now you can add
Exactly.
on to it and be like, oh, I want to add goal setting and all this stuff. Like you can do that for yourself. The next part is, where do you see this going in terms of like, is there going to be 3 million apps that people are going to be deploying every single day? Like at some point, I feel like there's going to be new apps every single day. What is going to be the differentiating factor between like a good app or a bad app? And what does that even
Sure.
mean, good or bad?
Sure. I think there's going to be two groups of people: the people, like you said, who embrace AI and who really use it, and then the people who dig their feet in the sand. And maybe you have a, I don't know, call it 10-year horizon to capture that market. That's the market you're going for. As someone on this side, someone who embraces it, you're going to want to go for someone who puts their feet in the sand. And so, for example, just to kind of speak on it, I've been in real estate my entire career, and virtual staging has been a big thing. So I used to pay companies like Box Brownie basically $24 a picture to put furniture in, because buyers are not visual, people are not visual, and they need to kind of see spatially how everything's going to work so they can envision themselves living there. And psychologically, it is so important to do that, and I can go on a whole real estate tangent with that. But my point in saying all that is, that was a bottleneck, right? I knew that could be done simpler, easier, and cheaper, especially. So what I went ahead and did is, kind of started iterating on AI Studio, and then, obviously the beast got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But it just kind of started with that, So maybe it's something that you're paying for. But to answer your question, I think marketing is going to be the big differentiator. So that's because it's going to be like, who's getting on these people's radar? Where do those people live? I'm kind of banking and investing heavily in the fact that I'm hoping my audience, the realtors, are on Facebook. I know in my experience, realtors have always kind of been on Facebook. It's how they share their listings. It's really how they build their sphere of influence and kind of double down on it. And I'm hoping by positioning myself there that I'll be able to capture some of that audience. So I think it comes down to a couple different things, right? Who's going to stand out? You have to know your avatar. The best way to know your avatar is if you're that avatar, I think.
Yep.
And if not, you build, get feedback, iterate, build, get feedback, iterate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you are that avatar and you're solving a problem for yourself, you kind of get to bypass that curve a little bit. So I think A, knowing your avatar, and B, being able to speak to them, with the right copy, the right language, knowing what realtors always being hit up from vendors, just so many different vendors, because everyone thinks realtors are just walking in money. But it's very, first of all, very expensive career. It's like the worst cash flow business that you could ever imagine. And second of all, it's something that there's still so much room for innovation. That's really where I think, A, you just have to have a good product. You have to solve a real problem. B, you have to be, know that audience. And then C, you have to be competitive in your pricing. You can't go out and, for example, just, virtually stage something on Stage Snap, it's 65 cents. Okay. I can't go out and do the same thing as Box Brownie, even though it's faster, and charge $100 instead of them charging $24. Oh, but you get it faster. No, you're still missing the mark. So it'd be faster, quicker, cheaper.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, you said the answer I was going to say though. I think it's marketing at this point, but it's not just marketing. It's like, do you have a group of, and I'm huge on testing now, but it's like, do you have a test group that you have that are just ready for anything you're putting out? For example, a broker. Hey, everyone, we're using this app. Like now you're going to see everyone, and hey, and just go around and say, hey, what did you think about it? How did it work? Is it better than that? No? Why? Boom, boom, boom. You're getting answers, and now you can iterate, and now you can make a great product. And I hate to say it. Well, I don't hate to say it. But what's his name? Ryan Serhant literally is doing
Oh
this.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he has, and also you could do this at any business. I'm big on like, blue collar businesses, but like
Drew's plumbing.
you have a test group. So use the test group. And if you have a newsletter, you have a test group. If you have 10 followers on Instagram, you have a test group. So have a product or solve your problem first. I know you laid it out perfectly with the three things perfectly. If you have a test group, solve a problem for yourself. Ask these people if they have the same problem. And if you're like a broker or whatever, you know they have the same problem. And go to them and say, hey, I created this app. I created this program. You can use it for 100% free. Just use it. Like use it as if you were, instead of using that thing, and see what, and then tell me what you think. Did it work better? Was it faster? Was it cheaper? No? Okay. What are a couple of things that you would want to change? And then iterate. And then you have a constant iteration process. And now it's like 10 people love it. Would you pay for it? Yeah, I'd pay for it. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to go to 100 other people in other areas, right? And now I'm going to do that. And AI allows us to do this way quicker because I don't have to take.
That's a question I have for you, Drew. So I'm like an introverted extrovert, however you want to phrase that. The idea of going up to someone and saying, hey, I made this. Can you please try it? Whether I'm picking up a phone. Honestly, even at this point, it's almost like, do I even want to send that email? How would you tell someone like myself what are some ways, and maybe they have a little extra money that they could run some ads, but what are some ways that someone like myself can automate that beta process?
Yeah, I think the best way is to just do it yourself, right? Send a DM, go to the desk next to you and say, "Hey, can you try this for like 10 days? Like, I'm not going to pay you, but you don't have to pay for this." Cool. All I need to know is after 10 days if it was good or not. So actually doing it yourself and going up to them, quote unquote door knocking, right? It's the modern day door knocking. So it's like LinkedIn, messaging someone. But if you don't want to do that, I would highly recommend like hiring someone to do that. So it's like not even like formally hiring. It's like, hey Chad, I don't like doing this. I created this app. I know you're not going to use it. Do you know 5 people that would like want to use this? Yeah, I do. And then you send me the or phone numbers, and I text them. I'm like, hey Chad, send me to you that you'd be a good
That's a
whatever.
great idea, Drew, because it's a lot easier to ask someone for a referral than it is to ask someone for essentially the business. In real
Yep.
estate, that's huge. Hey, Drew, do you know anyone looking to move? Not Drew, are you looking to move? Because if you say, Drew, are you looking to move? The pressure's on you. But if you say,
Yeah.
do you know anyone? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. That was never really a question I loved asking. But in this case, even better, because it's not a huge I mean, you're doing a favor, right? You're providing something of value for free. So I think that's the other thing, and I'm talking to myself too, right? That's the other thing that you kind of need to get over, is realizing that you're not asking for a favor, you're doing a favor for them.
Right. No, this is also like understand as well. Understand MVP language, like a minimal viable product. It has to be 80. This is my criteria, and I have this. Anyone who's watching this book is unbelievable, unbelievable. But MVP, minimal viable product. The criteria for an MVP is that it solves 80% of the problem. Okay, you don't have to have everything. It doesn't even have to look good. It just has to solve the problem, right? And so once I have an MVP, now I have to have a test group. And in a perfect world, the test group is 100 people, right? But that's a lot of work for a little bit of gain up front. And especially if you're starting to do this, you don't know like what is good and what's not. You think you do, but you do not. So it's go up to 10 people in your circle, in your world. And I highly recommend not doing this with like your wife or your significant other. They will only either tell you the best or tell you the worst. So
Yeah, they'll shoot it down. They'll shoot it
so
down.
so go to people
Keep
in
your
the
job.
industry, like people that literally like your neighbors even in your community, and just say, "Hey, I know you're a real estate agent. Would you mind trying this for 10 days?" Like, or you could even say it like this. This is actually a perfect script. What are you using right now for staging? We're using, you know, whatever, brownie pits, whatever. Okay, cool. What about them? Like, why do you use them? Well, because our broker makes us. Okay, cool. Do you mind like trying mine out and seeing if it's better than that? Like, I'm trying to start this whole thing, and like, do you mind trying this? Yeah, no problem. Cool. Here's the login, all this stuff. They use it, or they only use it once, or they don't use it, or whatever. And you see them next time. You say, "Hey, what did you think about? Like, how did you think about it?" Follow up is key with this stuff because I need real data. I need real answers here. I don't need people telling me what I want to hear. And so once I do that, then I can
How do
iterate.
you how do you solicit those real answers from people, and what type of question are you asking in order to get the data that you need? Oh,
So
by the way, that book was The Lean Startup for those not on video. So
true.
sorry, Drew.
So two things, right? First thing is when I make the app, what problem am I really solving? Okay? I need better photos for my listings. No, it's not that you need better photos, because then you would just get a better photographer.
Mhm.
So that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for either it's cheaper, either it's faster, easier to use, whatever it is. Like, what is the actual thing I'm trying to solve here? And honestly, only solve one at a time. Like we said at the beginning, only solve one problem at a time. I want to make it cheaper for the same quality or marginally less quality or better quality than what I'm already paying for. So I've gotten that. I've gotten an MVP that does that 80% of the way, right? Maybe it's cheaper, but it's not as good quality. Okay, fine. Like, let's still roll it out. And then the other thing, so once I know what I want, then I can create like an understanding, like a couple questions that like get to the bottom of that. Hey, what are you using right now? I'm using this. Okay, that's $40 a month. Okay, cool. Why do you use them? Because that's what we have to use. Okay, so agnostic, right? So they don't really care what they use. It's just what they got told to use. Then they probably
Right.
don't know anyone else. Okay, so they're agnostic to that. If there was a better product, would you use it? No. Okay, so they don't really care about quality or whatever. So that's not my
That's
target
a good
audience,
question. That's a good
right?
question.
And so I'm going down this list. I'm creating, and you could even do it as the first person I ask. Those are my like template questions, right? And once I have those, then I go and ask 10 more people, 20 more people, whatever your like, your tolerance is. So then I go and I ask 100 people these same questions. I'm writing them down like on a piece of paper. I'm calling them. I'm getting on Zoom calls, whatever. I'm asking them these questions and I'm getting these answers. Okay, I have a real good list. No one cares about what they use. This is probably not a great product for me to do, right? I've asked 100 people and 99% of them said they don't care if there's a better product. This is just what they use. I'm probably not going to do that thing, right? So I think I answered it. Once you have,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. And to kind of expand on your last point, right? I think a CRM is a great example of that. First of all, anyone, and just kind of while we're on this real estate parallel, anyone who's trying to build a CRM for real estate agents, stop, right? Why? A, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Sorry, it's the reality. Second is real estate agents hate CRMs because
right,
they are not those type of people. They're out in the field talking to people, engaging. Is sitting at a computer not their skill set. So I think you need to lean into really on that who that avatar is.
yeah,
Get so crystal clear because you might not have thought of that. And what real estate agent, when you're asking for beta feedback, are they going to say, well, actually, a general personality type for real estate agents is, you know, no, you're probably not going to get that.
right,
So really knowing, and I think kind of the closer you are to that world. So for example, it would be really difficult for me to come up with any sort of AI anything in neuroscience or heart surgery because I do not know shit about shit in any of that stuff, and you don't want me coming up with anything, and I don't want, if you don't know
yeah.
anything, don't do it, right? But get to something that closer to just kind of where you're at. But feedback's everything, and then with vibe coding you can iterate quick.
Right.
You're not going back and forth to an engineer.
Right. So once you ask those questions, then like you said, it's like, then I come up with a minimal viable product and I'm like, okay, this solves their problem. They want it cheaper. Here it is. It's cheaper. It's the same quality. It's cheaper and it's easy. It's still the same ease of use. Right. And so I go up to someone, I say, hey, try this out. And honestly, for me, from a marketing perspective, I'm videotaping this. So it's like, hey, try this out.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, what are the key features that stand out to you automatically? Well, it looks nice. Great. Perfect. Oh, how much does this cost? Oh, it's only 40 cents per picture. Whoa, I'm paying 24. That's crazy. And then you're going through that process, right? And I just want to make this applicable to everyone. It's like, hey, if you're a plumber, right? And you understand and you get all this feedback, it's like, hey, you guys are amazing, but like your customer service sucks. It's like, well, I need to figure out how to improve my customer service. What is the main thing that people think about when they're talking about customer service? I'm going to ask them, hey, what about our customer service sucked? The fact that
Exactly. Lean
the
in,
fact
pull the string.
Yeah, the fact that I wasn't able to talk to a real person. Oh, okay. Now, was it a real person or the fact that you couldn't just ask random questions back and forth? I guess that's the same thing. No, it's not.
Mm,
AI exists. So it's like,
exactly.
okay, I need to find something. If you want to, pro tip, if you want to cut the learning curve, just find an expert and just have them do it. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, I need someone.
Especially if you can hire someone, if maybe you have some extra money that you want to do something with, that I think is the best way to do it. Find someone in the field. Hey, pay $100 an hour to follow you, listen to you, whatever. Figure out some sort of equitable arrangement, and then go in that way. And I think paying your beta users at least to get information about the
Yeah.
product that you're building. Maybe not for the feedback because then kind of convolute some conflicts of interest there.
But even if your test group could be your next 15 customers, right? It's like, oh, we we're losing sales. It's like, no, you're not. You were not closing 100% of your clients before, 100% of the people that called before. So
Right.
let's try, an A/B test. It's like for the next month and a half, we're gonna have AI be our customer service agent. And then the next month and a half, we're gonna have a real person. We're gonna have Tom not do what he's supposed to be doing. He's not gonna be the mechanic, or what are we doing, plumbing. He's not gonna be going out on
I don't
trips.
know how you forgot that one.
He's not going to be going out on trips. He's going to be staying here and getting the customer service calls. That's what he's going to be doing. Okay,
Mhm.
now we got to calculate how many lost trips we had. But we also save gas, and you got to go back and forth and see if it actually makes sense for your business. But this is something I've been really big on, is everyone has a test group, right? Even if you go into your contacts, your phone contacts, and ask 10 people, that's your test group. And then that gives you an opportunity to then iterate ever so slightly and then ask the test group again, right? And also that test group will probably be your first 10 customers as well. So, the better it gets, it's like,
I
hey,
think
yeah,
exactly. And kind of as you were talking about that, I was thinking about like, man, what do I have to do? Like, what type of feedback do I have to get? Because I know I'm partially wrong in my thinking and my thought pattern of, well, it was a problem I had. I'm the ideal, I'm the avatar. I know everything. I shouldn't get feedback because I want to ask for feedback because this, become my baby. And I think to your point is your beta customers can be your real customers. So for example, right now I started a meta campaign, which by the way, I hate meta ads. I
yeah,
hate meta ads, Drew. Anyway, I wasted a whole day of my life setting that up. And what I'm doing basically is just letting everyone know, when they're getting on board, I'm giving them a free trial. So they get, 3 free pictures. And then if they have any problems at all, I'm just gonna give them 10 more. Here's 10 credits. I'm sorry for, the trouble. Cause it doesn't cost me anything.
right.
It's not, I don't think I'm gonna lose that customer over that. At least I'm hoping. I mean, this is all speculation. We'll circle back in a little bit and we'll let you know how it goes. But
Yeah,
I liked your point. I guess what I'm saying is test, like your customers can be your test groups.
yeah. I think to wrap this into a bow, I think the best thing for you to do is like, okay, what is the big problem? Or not even a big problem. What is a problem that if solved, I can save 30 extra hours a week, or I can save $30,000 a year? Like, what is something
Right.
that can, like, one problem, and most of the time it's way more than that, but let's just say one problem that can save you a ton of time or a ton of money, right? Now, ask yourself, ask yourself the key questions about why that's a problem. Why is this a problem? Why is my customer service a problem? Well, because I've had 5 people call me and tell me that this is a problem. Okay, call them back and say, why, what about it was a problem, so that I can make it better? What about it? Write those down. Now create an app that solves those problems. It doesn't have to look beautiful. It doesn't have to look, beautiful or perfect. And then make a minimal viable product, something that answers 80% of those questions, right?
Uh-huh.
And then
Can
once
I
you,
interject really quick and
yeah,
you not forget where you're going?
yeah,
And not you can literally write down all the problems, take a picture of it. Hey, chat, what's the next step?
true,
And in that way, you're not having to figure out how do you address these problems. But sorry, I just want to throw that in there, Drew, because
true.
I've gotten really lazy with my prompts and copy and paste from Claude Code back to chat, back to Claude, back to. I mean, kind of it's pretty effective. But
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt.
No, it's 100% right. So you could even have a discussion. You can even have this discussion with Claude and just say, hey, these 10 people said that these are their 5 problems with our customer service process. Help me create the code, or help me create the better understanding of how to solve this problem with an app. Okay, it gives it to you. All right, let's go into Cloud Code, or let's go into Google AI Studio, and let's create an app. A minimal viable product answers 80% of these questions on Google AI Studio or Cloud Code. Okay, I'm going to go in and do it, and now I'm going to give it to those people that had a problem. and say, hey, call it again. And they call back and they're like, oh, that's way better. Thank you so much. Perfect. Now we're going to put that into our business, right? And we're going to run that for the next month and a half or 3 months or whatever your test time is, 90 days. Cool. We're going to run that. And that's your test group. We had 50 people come in, 100 people, 1,000 people call. And this was the results. Now, how do I make this a little bit better, right? So that's sort of to tie it all in a bow.